Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Audio Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Upon hearing these words, many students present were shocked, thinking that Bai Zhenjun had succeeded. However, Li Zulian sighed and looked at Bai Zhenjun, saying, to be able to learn the moves of these 9 martial arts with one's own strength in such a short period, your talent is 1 in 10,000. It's just a pity that it still falls short of my father's requirements. Hearing this, some of the students present breathed a sigh of relief, while others were secretly astonished. Zhao Tianxing thought, this still doesn't meet the requirements. Just how powerful of a disciple does this Xinghe Zhenren want? Bai Zhenjun, on the other hand, secretly breathed a sigh of relief. She hadn't expected to trigger a change in the Tianren Yanwu diagram so easily. She thought she had succeeded, and almost blurted out her refusal to become Xinghe Zhenren's disciple. Bai Zhenjun thought to herself, good thing I didn't say it, or I would have been so embarrassed. I knew something was still missing. After Bai Zhenjun's attempt, others also stepped forward to try performing the 9 martial arts separately, but none of them triggered any further changes in the Tianren Yanwu diagram. On the contrary, Lian Tianji, who had been full of confidence, hesitated to try again, seemingly pondering the reason for Bai Zhenjun's failure and what they were still lacking. For a time, the entire scene fell silent, and unknowingly, no one dared to try again. Just as Li Zulian was lamenting that it was over, she saw Zhang Yu walking up with his phone. Li Zulian suddenly became interested, thinking, after seeing so many failures, he still has the confidence to go up. It seems he has some assurance. But the next moment, she couldn't help but frown. Because Zhang Yu actually started playing a video on his phone, imitating Bai Zhenjun's movements in the video, to practice the martial arts. Clearly, he had just filmed Bai Zhenjun's performance of the martial arts. Seeing Zhang Yu following the video and performing the moves one by one, Li Zulian frowned even deeper. It was obvious that Zhang Yu was unfamiliar with the other 8 martial arts, besides his own comprehension of boxing. Although he was now imitating Bai Zhenjun's movements from the video, it only highlighted the difference in their understanding of the 8 martial arts. Watching Zhang Yu, dressed in his security guard uniform, clumsily imitating Bai Zhenjun's movements under the gaze of the crowd, Zhao Tianxing felt his scalp tingling and his toes curling. Just watching him, he felt as if the gazes directed at Zhang Yu were filled with contempt and ridicule. He couldn't imagine what it must feel like for the person actually standing there, doing that. Stop it, Zhang Yu. Zhao Tianxing couldn't bear to watch any longer, shouting in his heart, it's too embarrassing. You're being treated like a clown. Zhang Yu naturally couldn't hear Zhao Tianxing's thoughts, nor did he care what the people in the art exhibition thought of him. He simply meticulously performed each of the 9 martial arts one by one, following Bai Zhenjun's movements in the video. As soon as he finished the last move, countless experiences and feelings suddenly flooded his mind, giving Zhang Yu a completely different understanding of the Tianren Yanwu diagram, as if he had practiced it tens of thousands of times. At that moment, the moves of the 9 martial arts gradually disappeared from his mind, replaced by 9 different concepts faintly emerging in his mind. At this moment, Zhang Yu suddenly understood that the 9 martial arts on the Tianren Yanwu diagram emphasize the concept, not the moves. What practitioners needed to do was to ponder the intent within each move while practicing the martial arts. The killing intent to defeat 1,000,000 soldiers, the determination to never regret even in death, the indomitable spirit. The 9 martial arts cultivated the martial intent to strengthen one's Tao heart. This is not a martial art for combat or body refinement, but a martial art that uses martial intent to temper the Tao heart. This is a martial art mental cultivation method used to improve the level of the Tao heart. Martial intent is the collective term used by the 10 great sects after sorting out martial forces, such as sword intent, fist intent, and saber intent. The most basic function of martial intent is to strengthen the spirit, solidify one's will, and thereby improve the practitioner's Tao heart level. And the martial intent of Jindan Zhenren, like Xinghe Zhenren, can even remain in the painting, affecting the mental consciousness of others. At the same time, Zhang Yu's temperament also underwent a strong change. Killing intent, fighting spirit, bravery. Strands of extremely powerful temperament emerged from his body, seemingly about to condense into his martial intent, in one breath. At the same time, the man on the Tianren Yanwu diagram became clearer and clearer, even gradually showing vivid colors, as if he had become a real person, staring intently at the changes in Zhang Yu. The people present who noticed this were also shocked. This was definitely the biggest reaction from the Tianren-Yanwu diagram today. Bian Tianji, Qi and Shen, by Zhenjin. All stared intently at Zhang Yu. They all felt the changes in Zhang Yu, and had the same incredible thought in their minds. Is he really going to succeed? But at the next moment, the changes in Zhang Yu were suddenly completely interrupted, and the martial intent that seemed about to condense also dissipated at this moment. What a pity, a sentence appeared on the painting. Heavenly talent, just one step away. Zhang Yu's face didn't show any surprise. Tianwu Lianshenju, level 0. A martial art called Tianwu Lianshenju appeared on the feather book. This was the martial art that appeared on the feather book after Zhang Yu repeatedly comprehended the Tianren-Yanwu diagram, carefully watched the martial arts performances of many students, and repeatedly pondered by Zhenjun's video. And unlike the martial arts Zhang Yu had learned before, this Tianwu Lianshenju had requirements for mana, physical strength, and Dao heart. In addition to practicing all the boxing, palm, leg, and other moves, it also requires 8 mana, 0, 8 physical strength, and a level 3 Dao heart. I have already met the requirements for everything else, except for this level 3 Dao heart. Zhang Yu's own Dao heart was only level 1. After trying this, he was indeed stuck at the last step. This Tianwu Lianshenju, it seems, is a martial art used to condense martial intent, strengthen willpower with martial intent, and temper the Dao heart after level 3 Dao heart. Zhang Yu thought to himself, a level 3 Dao heart with such high requirements is simply not something a high school student who has been in school for 3 months can achieve, right? Li Zulian looked at the failing Zhang Yu, her eyes shining with different colors. The original plan flashed in her mind. She never expected these high school students present to succeed. According to the information sent by the security company, this person is Zhang Yu, a high school student from Songyang High School. For this person to be able to do this, he truly deserves to be called a heavenly talent. Recalling Zhang Yu's performance just now, she said with emotion in her heart, "Amazing, I almost missed it. This person looks stiff in his moves, and every punch and kick is crooked, but in the end, he can comprehend the intent contained within. It shows that he values intent over moves and saw the mysteries of the Tianren Lianshen Ju early on. Good, good, another outstanding disciple will be added to my father's sect." In fact, after Li Zulian checked the information of the participants on the scene, she felt that no one would succeed in this test. After all, students who can practice the martial arts in the Tianren-Yanwu diagram on the spot are either from prominent families or are already in their 2nd or 3rd year of high school and have already been signed contracts. It is unlikely that they would come to apprentice Xinghe Zhenren. The possibility of finding a genius who can practice the Tianwu Lianshen Ju on the spot is extremely small. But this does not mean that no one can enter his father's sect. If among the high school students present, someone can withstand the impact of martial intent, learn all the moves on the spot, and comprehend the mysteries of martial intent from it, then even if they don't practice it in the end, they are definitely a genius with outstanding talent. If this kind of person came a year later, they would definitely be able to practice the Tianwu Lianshen Ju, which also meets his father's requirements. Now it is equivalent to finding the other party a year in advance, while the other party has not yet grown up, when signing the contract. She believed that her father would definitely be willing to accept such an excellent disciple. In that case, the fact that this high school student can't practice the Tianwu Lianshen Ju will not be a disadvantage, but will be more conducive for Li Zulian to slightly lower the price to the other party when signing the contract next. Thinking of this, she was already smiling at Zhang Yu. This student, although you have not truly practiced the Tianwu Lianshen Ju, you have already penetrated the mysteries of it. It is only a matter of time before you practice this martial art in the future. I will ask my father later to see if he is willing to accept you as a disciple. Hearing this, the people on the scene were once again shocked. Liang Tianji looked in the direction of Zhang Yu, opened his phone and secretly took a picture of Zhang Yu. He wanted to ask someone where this security guard had suddenly emerged from. Qian Shen looked at Zhang Yu in disbelief, shouting wildly in his heart, "Impossible. How could someone with 550 points be accepted as a disciple by a Jindan Zhenren? I must be dreaming. Is the Tianren-Yanwu diagram still testing me? By Zhenjun Yuzi is cheating." Discovering that her good brother, who was originally inferior to herself in every way, and owed debts everywhere with her, had suddenly soared into the sky, Bai Zhenjian immediately felt very uncomfortable. Yuzi, it's not that I don't want you to be good. If you get in the top 10 or top 5 in the grade, higher than before, lower than me, then brother will definitely bless you. Who asked you to suppress the heroes, even surpassing me? However, looking at the people around her going forward to befriend Zhang Yu, Bai Zhenjian thought to herself, after Zhang Yu signs with the Jindan Genren, he will definitely be able to attract a lot of investment. I must ruthlessly fleece him and borrow money from him at that time. But at the next moment, she changed her mind and frowned. But this Jindan, cultivation, base, has been taken away, by half, and optimized by the big sect. With no resources and no background, if Zhang Yu really enters the sect, he will have to be a beast of burden for the rest of his life. Forget it, as brothers, I should still remind him not to be dazzled by the words Jindan, and refuse the other party. On the other side, Zhao Tianxing's eyes widened even more, his mind blank, but he quickly thought of his previous persuasion to Zhang Yu, and felt a burst of embarrassment in his heart. Too embarrassing. He is a true genius. He must have thought I was a clown when I said those words in front of him, right? Just as Bai Zhenjian walked towards Zhang Yu, many students also surrounded him. Some wanted to add Zhang Yu's contact information, some wanted to ask him about the mysteries in the Tianren Yanwu diagram, and some wanted to take photos with him. At the same time, Li Zulian had come to the side, and called her father. Dad, I found a good seedling in Songyang City. After Li Zulian explained Zhang Yu's situation, she heard a chuckle from the other end of the phone. He's indeed good, but there's no need to take him in. Li Zulian asked in confusion, why? Realist Xinghe laughed heartily, his tone full of joy. I've already found the real genius. Also a first-year high school student, only 15 years old, and it only took him half an hour to master the heavenly martial heart refining technique. And he doesn't have any contracts yet. At this point, realist Xinghe couldn't help but laugh again. Li Zulian said in surprise, there's such a freak. Realist Xinghe chuckled and said, I told you long ago, Kongshu first layer never lacks geniuses, only people to invest in them. Like the top scorers in each subject of the college entrance examination, and the top scorers overall, you should know how amazing those people are. But Kongshu first layer has several of these geniuses every year, and there's a group of people who are not much worse than them, emerging year after year, like leeks that can never be cut clean. There are too many geniuses, but I couldn't find them in the past, always being one step ahead by others, but now I've finally found one first. Li Zulian looked in Zhang Yu's direction with some regret and asked, don't you want to sign this, Zhang Yu, by the way? Realist Xinghe, forget it, our family's resources will be invested in the real genius next, so don't distract our energy. Inside the conference room next to the art exhibition, Li Zulian looked at Zhang Yu in front of her, and said apologetically, I'm sorry, this classmate, my father has other important matters to attend to, so I'm afraid he won't be able to take you as a disciple for the time being. She said sincerely, however, you can use the heavenly martial heart refining technique with confidence in the future, and I will give you a copy of the specific usage rights. Li Zulian's eyes were full of admiration, as she looked at Zhang Yu. Finally, I would like to give you 10,000 yuan in my personal name. Don't rush to refuse, this gift is purely out of my appreciation for your talent. I hope that when we meet again next time, you have already been admitted to a prestigious university. Oh, right, regarding the videos you recorded, they also involve the copyright of the heavenly martial heart refining technique, so I need you to delete them. After a while, watching Zhang Yu's leaving figure, the smile on Li Zulian's face gradually faded. Although realist Xinghe didn't plan to take him as a disciple, Li Zulian didn't intend to make an enemy of this young man, with good talent. Anyway, the right to use the heavenly martial heart refining technique, or the 10,000 yuan, were just a piece of cake for her. She herself had lost count of how many small gifts she had given to some young geniuses like this. However, most of them eventually faded into obscurity and had long been forgotten by her. After resolving this matter, Li Zulian went to meet several important guests, and then couldn't wait to find her father. She was too curious about the peerless genius that realist Xinghe mentioned. On the other side, at the art exhibition that had not yet officially ended, Bai Zhenjian looked at Zhang Yu, who had just come out of the conference room, and asked, how was it? Did you refuse realist Xinghe? Did Li Zulian make things difficult for you? Zhang Yu recalled Li Zulian's admiring look just now, and shook his head. She didn't make things difficult for me. Before I could even speak, she rejected me, saying that realist Xinghe had other important matters. But she gave me an extra 10,000 yuan at the end. Listening to Zhang Yu's statement, Bai Zhenzhen curled her lips. Standard excuse. Maybe she checked your information and found that you weren't that good. For example, your usual monthly test scores are too bad, you don't have any sterilization records, your muscles don't grow well, and you owe a lot of money. Listening to Bai Zhenzhen's words, Zhang Yu curled his lips up. Jin, you lost and you're still not convinced, and you're starting to attack me personally, right? Seeing Zhang Yu's smug look, Bai Zhenzhen couldn't help but grabbed his shoulder and ask, what the hell did you cheat on? Tell me quickly, did you borrow money to bribe the staff and comprehend the martial arts diagram in advance? Looking at Bai Zhenzhen's ugly face full of jealousy, Zhang Yu chuckled. Keep going, Zhen, watching the ugly state of you weaklings after defeat is my current pleasure. Just as the two were talking, Qian Shen also walked over from not far away. He looked at Zhang Yu with a solemn expression and asked, do you deliberately get bad grades on your usual exams? The test of the celestial human martial arts diagram allowed Qian Shen to improve his resistance to high-scoring people. But he was extremely shocked that low-scoring people could have performance that exceeded his. Seeing Zhang Yu shake his head in denial, Qian Shen said unwillingly, impossible. If you didn't deliberately get bad grades, why would your talent and scores be so mismatched? Huh. Zhang Yu thought for a while and said, exams can't fully show a person's potential, right? Qian Shen directly interrupted Zhang Yu and said excitedly, impossible. The college entrance examination in the 6 major high school courses are customized by the 10 major sects and are a system specifically used to evaluate high school students. After countless experts and strong people have verified and adjusted it, it is already the most optimal, most scientific, and most immortal way to evaluate a person. Each subject and each point perfectly reflects the all-round gap between people, including the superiority of bloodlines, the backwardness of regions, and the incompleteness of evolution. Looking at Qian Shen's extremely serious appearance, Zhang Yu realized that he had misunderstood him before. You're not a simple score discriminator, you've evolved from score discrimination to bloodline discrimination, regional discrimination, and even racial discrimination, and have become a supporter of score caste, right? In short, in Qian Shen's expression, high scores are awesome, they are elites, they can be superior and confident, while low scores are trash. This is the worldview he has built up over the years, and it is also the source of confidence for him as a high-scoring student, and it can even be said to be the rule of all key high schools. HMPH, you don't want to admit it, fine. But I will tell the school about the situation here, and I hope you will show your true skills in the next monthly exam, and stop getting a score of 550, which is an incomplete evolution. Looking at Qian Shen's leaving figure, Zhang Yu felt as if he had been scolded by him, but also as if he hadn't. Bai Zhenzhen next to him nodded thoughtfully. There is one point in all the nonsense, he said, that you should pay attention to. The school will definitely know about the situation here, and they may sign a contract with you then. Sign a contract. Zhang Yu looked at Zhen curiously. He had vaguely heard of this before, but he was still in the dark about what the situation was. Bai Zhenzhen explained, not everyone in high school is as rich as Qian Shen's family. For many poor but high-achieving and talented students, they need someone to invest in them. And the school itself is one of the investors. Generally, after the second year of high school starts, a group of outstanding students will be selected based on their performance and grades in the first year of high school, and a contract will be signed to invest money in them. Of course, there are also a very small number of students who are too outstanding and too dazzling. In order to prevent them from being signed by others first, the school will discuss the contract with them in the first year of high school. Speaking of this, Bai Zhenzhen straightened her chest like me. Zhang Yu, why didn't you tell me about this before? Bai Zhenzhen rolled her eyes at Zhang Yu, as if to say, don't you know what kind of person you were before? Bai Zhenzhen, based on your performance at the art exhibition, the school will definitely talk to you about the contract. As for whether to sign it or not. Seeing the tangled expression on Bai Zhenzhen's face, Zhang Yu asked, is it so difficult to choose whether to sign it or not? Bai Zhenzhen sighed. It can't be said that it's difficult to choose. In fact, it's easy to choose whether to sign it or not based on your personal situation. But the difficulty lies in whether a person's understanding of themselves is right or wrong. Bai Zhenzhen looked at Xiong Yu and asked seriously, for example, what kind of cheat did you use to comprehend the celestial human martial arts diagram this time? But halfway through her words, Bai Zhenzhen waved her hand again. Forget it, mothers don't ask about cheats, and you don't need to tell me. In short, if you are really confident and decide to take the top 10 universities, then don't sign this contract now. Conversely, if you are not sure that you can get into the top 10, and just want to get into an ordinary university, then sign the contract directly as long as it's not too bad. Xiong Yu heard this and thought thoughtfully, and asked a few more questions about the details of the school, and the contract. Just a moment after the two were talking, someone else found Xiong Yu, but it was a delicate and lovely girl. Hello, classmate, you were so handsome just now, can I add you as a friend? Similar things had happened many times since Xiong Yu had just comprehended the celestial human martial arts diagram, and even Lian Tianji from Xian High School had asked to add him as a friend. Xiong Yu had gradually become accustomed to this and sighed in his heart before adding the other party. Even beautiful girls are taking the initiative to contact me. Jiang Yu asked, which school are you from, classmate? The other party said, I'm Wu Qingqing from the Saintly Women's Academy, from the honors class. Zhang Yu's face suddenly stiffened. To say that in this Kengshu world, people who look like men may not be men, but students from the honors class of the Women's Academy. They must have been men before. Wu Qingqing seemed to feel the change at Zhang Yu's face, and smiled slightly. Yo, you're quite old-fashioned. Do you think that our class is full of people who got into key high schools by taking advantage of loopholes, and whose actual grades are a mess? I'm telling you, the top students in our class are no worse than you. You'll know next time in the citywide unified exam. Zhang Yu looked at the other party's leaving figure speechlessly. No, is that what I'm thinking about? Kengshu, in this damn place, even transsexuals have to look at their scores first, right? Congratulations. Zhu Tianyi walked over from the side. Did you sign a contract with the Golden Core Realist? Zhang Yu looked at Zhu Tianyi in front of him and suddenly remembered that the other party didn't seem to have much presence in front of the celestial human martial arts diagram just now. Next, Zhang Yu worked as a security guard while communicating a few words with acquaintances or unfamiliar guests. As today's security work was completely completed, his savings also increased by 1,610,000 yuan, soaring to 13,300 in one fell swoop. After paying off the remaining 5,000 loan for this month, Zhang Yu's account balance fell to 8,300, and he was finally temporarily free from worrying about collection. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Zhang Yu, having finished his security guard shift, was on his way back to his rented apartment in the suburbs, squeezing onto the subway and bus. As for why the buses and subways were still packed at 1 in the morning, it was naturally because 1 in the morning was the peak of the night shift in Songyang City, with many people commuting to and from work. After returning home, Zhang Yu first took a shower, then looked at the balance in his account, wondering if he could buy an air conditioner. After all, a savings of 8,300 yuan made him feel much more financially secure this month. However, the thought that in 2 weeks it would be the next month, and he would have to repay a loan of 15,000 yuan, made him frown. He recalled what Bai Zhenzhen had said. He murmured in his heart, the school's contract. If signing the contract could give him a large sum of money every month, then he wouldn't have to worry about the loan. However, Zhang Yu also knew that overthinking was useless. Whether it was his performance in front of the celestial human martial arts diagram, or the school's contract, everything ultimately depended on his own talent and strength. Thinking of this, he took out the nerve-filling agent he had bought at the stationery store at the school gate today, and swallowed it. Then, he sat cross-legged on the bed, and began to circulate the heavenly cycle key gathering method, feeling the strands of spiritual energy between heaven and earth pouring into his body. Although today, for the test of the celestial human martial arts diagram, he had switched the specialization of the feather book to the heavenly martial heart refining art, the heavenly cycle key gathering method would have to wait 24 hours to switch back before he could continue to improve it quickly. But anyway, he couldn't practice the heavenly martial heart refining art because his Tao heart wasn't at level 3 yet, and next he had to prepare for the magic competition to improve his magic power. Although the heavenly cycle key gathering method couldn't be improved quickly today, the heavenly cycle key gathering method, which had already reached level 4, could help him effectively increase his magic power. So, the rest of the night passed in Zhang Yu's silent breathing. The next morning, as soon as Zhang Yu entered the classroom, he noticed something different from usual. Normally, most students in Songyang High School focus on their own studies and cultivation every day, and don't pay much attention to other ordinary students in the class. Even to classmates might not say a word to each other for months. It was as if no one would pay attention to Zhang Yu when he entered the classroom every day. Only someone like Zhao Tianxing would think about whether his classmates were looking at him when he entered the classroom every day. But today was different. Zhang Yu could clearly feel that after he entered the classroom, students were secretly sizing him up from time to time. As soon as Zhang Yu sat down, Zhu Tianyi patted him on the shoulder and said, "The news that you were accepted as a disciple by a golden core cultivator has spread in the class. It seems that the people who went to the art exhibition with Qi and Shen said it in the group chat." As everyone knows, schools are one of the places in the world where gossip spreads the fastest. And Songyang High School, as a key high school, has a lot of cultivation pressure. Many celibate youths, and everyone has a mobile phone, so the speed of gossip is even faster. Not to mention text messages, even the photo of Zhang Yu wearing a security guard uniform, yesterday, has been spread in the group chat. Jiang Yu smiled when he heard this. My deeds have begun to spread in the class. As expected of Songyang's speed, then let it continue to spread. In these days of being forced to cultivate hard every day, it was a rare pleasure for Zhang Yu to feel the attention and discussion of others behind his back about his excellent performance. But then he curled his lips, thinking of a trouble. Yesterday, Li Zulian secretly called him to a small meeting to talk about rejecting him. This led to the fact that many people present did not know that he had actually been rejected by the Golden Core Cultivator, and still thought that, as Li Zulian said on the spot, he was going to be accepted as a disciple by the Golden Core Cultivator. It seems pretty stupid if I run to the podium to clarify now. Forget it, let them spread it however they want, they should forget about it in a while. Jiang Yu closed his eyes and continued to circulate the heavenly cycle key gathering method, breathing in spiritual energy. The students' discussions were just a temporary amusement after all. As planned before, his main purpose now was still to fully improve his magic power and prepare to participate in the city's magic competition. However, Zhang Yu was called out by the head teacher, Sa Haifeng, after only a few breaths. I remember the last time Sa Haifeng asked him to talk was on the third day Zhang Yu came to this world. At that time, he still didn't have a deep enough understanding of Songyang High School and the teachers of Songyang High School. He even mistakenly thought that Sa Haifeng was a good teacher who cared about poor students at first. But at this moment, outside the classroom, as Zhang Yu followed behind Sa Haifeng, he could feel the terrifying pressure of this demonstration, class, head, teacher, and grade director. Wherever Sa Haifeng passed, the classroom instantly became silent, and many students trembled. Qian Shen didn't dare to move and breathe seriously. Zhao Tianxing, who had just stood up to go to the toilet, quickly sat back and picked up a book to read. Even Bai Zhenjun sat upright like a primary school student, staring intently at the textbook in front of her. Everyone's nerves were tense at this moment, hoping that Su Haifeng's gaze would not fall on them. This was Su Haifeng, the first-year grade director of Songyang High School, the nightmare in the hearts of countless Songyang students, and the author of the research paper on the application prospects of electric shock in high school teaching. This was a man who would make a dog read a few pages of a book if it passed by him. Zhang Yu followed Su Haifeng to the office all the way, watching this demon king smile at him and say, "I heard that true person Xinghe wants to accept you as a disciple." Zhang Yu didn't plan to deceive the school that he had become a disciple of the Golden Core. After all, the lie of whether or not he was accepted as a disciple could easily be exposed, and then he would be put in a passive position. So he told the truth. "No, I think true person Xinghuo's conditions are a bit poor, so I rejected it." Su Haifeng's mouth twitched when he heard this. Zhang Yu's family was already poor, and he hadn't given him any gifts for 3 months since school started. Now that he had finally made a splash, he was actually pretending. Is it to raise your own value? For the sake of signing a contract? Sure enough, these poor ghosts are prone to swelling. But in this case, Su Haifeng felt that the contract would probably not be easy to sign later. After pondering, he took out a document and said, "The school already knows about your performance at the Central Building Art Exhibition. Although your grades have declined recently, you have been criticized by the physical education teacher, you are not actively buying medicine, and the collection company has called me. The school still cares about talents, and has decided to provide you with some help." Zhang Yu's eyes narrowed when he heard this. As expected of the recognized nightmare of Songyang High School, he started with old PUA, didn't he? Zhang Yu thought of what Bai Zhenjin had said about the contract and guessed that this might be a prelude to discussing the contract conditions next. And as he expected, So Haifeng put the document in front of him and then said, "The school has prepared a student aid contract for you. The conditions are much better than the previous poor student subsidy plan. See if there are any problems." Jiang Yu took it and glanced at it, and found that after signing this contract, the school would give him 10,000 yuan a month, but the money had to be repaid, but the interest rate was much lower than borrowing. In addition, it requires him to work in the school's education group for 10 years, regardless of whether he is admitted to university or not. Songyang High School is a high school under the Wangxing Education Group, and the Wangxing Education Group belongs to the Wanfo sect, among the top 10 sects. That is to say, after signing this contract, Zhang Yu will have to work in the Wangxing Education Group for 10 years in the future. In addition, Songyang High School has the right to decide which university and major students should apply for in the process of applying for universities. 10,000 yuan a month, and you want me to sign this kind of indenture? Even if Zhang Yu hadn't seen other students' contracts, he could tell that this contract was a bit disrespectful. Zhang Yu put down the document and frowned. "Teacher, this treatment is too low, isn't it? I earn 800 yuan an hour as a security guard in the central building. Can temporary work last?" Su Haifeng first denied it and then changed the subject. "I know that the treatment of this contract is indeed a bit low, but the school leaders naturally have their reasons for doing so. After all, what kind of content is tested in the assessment of the celestial human martial arts diagram at the art exhibition? What are the selection criteria? What is the specific quality of all the candidates? The school does not have first-hand information, so it cannot judge personally, let alone you did not practice the martial arts in it in the end. On the contrary, your grades have declined significantly this month. The school is ultimately a place that values grades. The evaluation system of 700 points in 6 subjects is certainly more immortal, more reasonable, and more valued by the school directors than the celestial human martial arts diagram. The contract process cannot escape this point." Zhang Yu's brows furrowed even more, only because what Su Haifeng said was not unreasonable. In Songyang High School, grades are ultimately the first priority. After all, apart from him, people in the school don't know the specific difficulty and power of the heavenly martial art refining art, let alone that this martial art has the requirement of level 3 Dao heart. And Zhang Yu doesn't have the right to spread the heavenly martial art refining art, and no one will endorse him to make people believe his remarks about the heavenly martial art refining art. "Zhang Yu, I can't accept this contract." So Haifeng smiled slightly, thinking that he wanted to increase the price. He said lightly, "Don't worry, I'm your head teacher after all. I can help you fight for more." "Zhang Yu, can it be as high as the conditions you offered to Bai Zhenjin?" Su Haifeng didn't answer directly, but laughed first, but the connotation of the laughter was self-evident. Then he said, "I'm not responsible for Bai Zhenjin's contract, but I can give you a response. Bai Zhenjin is the first in the grade with 650 points. How many points do you have?" "Zhang Yu, is it true that as long as I get the first place in the grade, everything can be discussed?" Looking at Zhang Yu's serious face, So Haifeng smiled and took the contract back. "How much you can test depends on your own ability. The contract mainly looks at grades, there can be some fluctuations in the details, but in general, it is only divided into 4 levels A, B, C, and D. The monthly exam will be in 2 weeks. If you are not satisfied with the D level contract, you can wait until your next monthly exam results come out, and we will continue to talk." Listening to Audio Nova. Leaving Su Haifeng's office, Zhang Yu walked back to the classroom. He needed to break into the top 10 in the entire grade in terms of magic power next week to qualify for the magic competition representing Songyang High School. The monthly exam would start the week after next, and only with excellent monthly exam results could he get a better contract from the school. Zhang Yu was confident that he could break into the top 10 in magic power within the next week. After all, his Joshin key gathering method was already at level 4, and this level would only increase, and his magic power would increase more rapidly. However, in addition to magic power, the monthly exam also tested physical education, Dao heart, martial arts, and Dao techniques. Zhang Yu immediately felt a lot of pressure to improve these subjects in the next 2 weeks. As for the general education exam, not to mention that general education itself only accounted for 50 points, but almost everyone in the demonstration class scored close to full marks in this exam, so there was no gap to widen. It could be said that Zhang Yu was a little unsure about how far he could go in the monthly exam in 2 weeks. In short, just grind. Zhang Yu felt like he was on fire. Who said that manual transmission couldn't be hung up? You show me where your limit is in the next 2 weeks. So, as soon as he returned to the classroom, Zhang Yu began to breathe in and out spiritual energy, fully operating the Joshin key gathering method. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the first class to end. Oh, so tired. When Zhang Yu felt a little relaxed and wanted to rest, the countdown with a chilling aura rose again, forcing him to continue working hard. Damn. Stupid ritual. One day I will kill you. In another corner of the classroom, Zhao Tianxing looked at the message he received on his phone and breathed a sigh of relief. Earlier, physical education teacher Wang Hai sent him to inquire about Zhang Yu's supply channels. Today, after the other party came to inquire about the results, Zhao Tianxing told him about yesterday's painting exhibition. Wang Hai's reply was understood. You don't need to follow Zhang Yu for the time being, just maintain a good relationship with him. Come to the training ground after school tomorrow, and I will give you a body refining lesson. Not having to continue inquiring about Zhang Yu's news made Zhao Tianxing relax a lot. And Wang Hai's reward of an extra lesson made Zhao Tianxing secretly happy. After all, as a trump card teacher, the quality of Wang Hai's private lessons was beyond doubt. Not only were they expensive, but they were also often hard to come by. As for continuing to maintain a relationship with Zhang Yu, Zhao Tianxing looked up at Zhang Yu's seat and saw him breathing in and out. After what happened yesterday, I must have become a clown in his mind. Thinking that the other party might already be laughing at his clumsy performance last night, Zhao Tianxing felt his cheeks burning again. However, thinking of Wang Hai's private lesson reward, he was still determined to find Zhang Yu to chat with him for a few words after class later. But as the morning classes passed one by one, Zhao Tianxing couldn't find a chance to say a few words to Zhang Yu. Still breathing in and out. Breathing in and out in class. Breathing in and out after class. He hasn't even been to the toilet. What strong kidneys. Zhang Yu's hard work at the moment made Zhao Tianxing feel anxious. Finally, when it was time for lunch, Zhao Tianxing just got his meal and wanted to sit next to Zhang Yu. He saw the other party pour the food into his stomach into mouthfuls like a ghost, and then ran out of the cafeteria like flying. Bai Zhenjin cursed in her heart. Even lunch has to be a grind, right? Are you going to let people eat properly? Lunchtime was the only time in Songyang High School without grades, without supervision from births like Sa Haifeng, and without perverts like Wang Hai to interfere. It could be said to be a rare time for the school's day, when academic masters could relax, take a break, and even chat about gossip. It was Songyang High School's own mental spa time. Bai Zhenjin was very dissatisfied with Zhang Yu's study demon posture of saving time, even during lunch, to cultivate. Brother, you're grinding so hard, how can we eat with peace of mind? What if you grind past us? Are you engaging in an academic preparation competition? When Zhao Tianxing returned to the classroom, looking at the other party already breathing in and out, he secretly said that it was as expected. For the rest of the afternoon, Zhao Tianxing couldn't find a chance to talk to him at all, only because as long as he turned his head to look, the other party was either seriously attending class or breathing in and out spiritual energy. Watching like this directly made Zhao Tianxing more and more anxious. He's already at the golden core stage, and he's still working so hard. Is he not giving us ordinary students a way to live? It wasn't until school was over that Zhao Tianxing finally found a chance to catch up with the other party. He thought Zhang Yu would also look for temporary work today. But he heard the other party say look for a temporary job. Little Zhao, we high school students still have to put learning first. How can you run to work every day? Don't think you're great just because you earn 800 an hour. Those are all temporary jobs, and you can't find them every day. Zhang Yu looked at his balance of 8,300 yuan, and had the confidence to temporarily not work and concentrate on cultivation. So he returned home, took a nerve filler and continued to breathe in and out, until the next morning. Apart from going to the toilet, and switching Yushu's specialization back to Joshin key gathering method, Zhang Yu devoted all his time to breathing in and out. Thus, in the blink of an eye, 4 days passed. After these 4 days of hard work, Zhang Yu's Joshin key gathering method reached level 6. And after these days of diligent cultivation, his magic power also rose from 8.3 to 9.4 in one breath, only 2 places away from the top 10 in magic power in the grade. Outside the first-year corridor this day, Su Haifeng swayed to the back door of the classroom, and looked at the students, who were studying on their own. As the head teacher of the demonstration class, he naturally came here to wander around even though he had no classes, in order to use his cold gaze, ruthless ridicule, and the power of the grade director to greatly boost the students' mental state. The most new small say in 6-9 book bar first hair. Then Su Haifeng discovered that the students in the classroom today were grinding harder than usual. There were fewer people going to the toilet. There were more people who were seriously breathing in and out, and fewer people who started to doze off while breathing. There were no people who were actually in a daze but pretended to stare at the books just to prevent themselves from being discovered. The distraction rate in the class was significantly reduced. In fact, Su Haifeng had vaguely noticed this trend since the previous 2 days. After his observation, he found that the source of this trend was the student named Zhang Yu. With Zhang Yu's mad-like breathing in and out, continuous uninterrupted zero distraction rate, and the surge in magic power these days, Bai Zhenjin, Qianshen, Zhao Tianxing and others were the first to be stimulated. Then the grinding energy that Bai Zhenjin and the others burst out stimulated more people. The ones with 550 points were grinding, the ones with 600 points were grinding, and the ones with 650 points were also grinding. How could he still rest? Even the average dining time of the demonstration class students every day, Su Haifeng looked at the report, and found that it had decreased by more than 20%. Su Haifeng looked at Zhang Yu, who was still breathing in and out, and sighed in his heart, is it, because his self-esteem was stimulated by me before? Then maybe I can use this trick more often in the future. Unconsciously, he had already thought of the topic for the next teaching and research paper in his mind, on the exploration of insulting students in high school teaching. Satisfied, he looked at the learning atmosphere in the classroom, nodded, and left. Not long after Su Haifeng left, with the sound of a bell ringing after school, Zhang Yu immediately stood up and walked towards the school's quiet room. Because he became the student with the lowest distraction rate in the entire grade last week, Zhang Yu not only received a bonus of 500 yuan and was commended, but also had the free right to use the heavenly spiritual route for 1 hour. And today was the day for the school to redeem this 1 hour of heavenly spiritual route. Because the spiritual route rental and the breathing quiet room were both scheduled by the school, if Zhang Yu missed it, the reward would be voided, so he rushed to the office for renting the spiritual route without any delay. Zhao Tianxing seized the opportunity, and followed behind Zhang Yu, saying, are you going to rent the heavenly spiritual route? Seeing Zhang Yu nod, Zhao Tianxing continued, you don't seem to rent heavenly spiritual routes often in school before, right? Do you want me to introduce you to the models of heavenly spiritual routes in our school? Zhang Yu's eyes moved slightly. The original Zhang Yu had always rented spiritual routes from various educational institutions, with preferential activities, due to price reasons, and he was not very familiar with the models of heavenly spiritual routes in the school. After all, with the development of the times, especially after the sorting and research of the top 10 sects, the spiritual routes were no longer as superficial as the ancient divisions. First of all, in terms of grade, the spiritual routes were divided into 5 grades by the top 10 sects. Among them, there were the lowest level human spiritual routes, high level earth spiritual routes, and higher level heavenly spiritual routes. These 3 grades of spiritual routes could be bought as long as you had money. And further up, there were military grade divine, spiritual routes, and immortal spiritual routes specially supplied by the top 10 sects. Divine spiritual routes could only be used by the military and some special government departments. Immortal spiritual routes could only be used with permission to join the top 10 sects. In terms of classification, like the ancient gold, wood, water, fire, and earth spiritual routes, Kungshu no longer had such classifications. Because the design and manufacturing industries of spiritual routes were becoming more and more advanced and prosperous, spiritual routes had gradually been divided into types according to different functions, such as learning, combat, and cultivation, etc. Zhao Tianxing said the most popular spiritual routes in our high school are definitely learning, spiritual routes, and cultivation spiritual routes. For example, parasitic spiritual routes. Zhang Yi was shocked. Chicken spiritual routes. Zhao Tianxing said its parasitic spiritual roots can be temporarily stored in a person's body, and the magic power extracted by this person, through the spiritual route, can be transferred to oneself. It is the favorite spiritual root of many rich people. There are also muscle-building spiritual roots that are the favorite of many people. During breathing, they can extract spiritual energy into a kind of growth spiritual energy, directly injected into the muscles, accelerate muscle growth, increase muscle for 24 hours, and greatly improve the body refining effect. Thank you for the reward from delicious fish tofu. Also, the Yuanyang spiritual route is very popular among heavenly spiritual routes, especially since everyone in our school is a virgin. The Yuanyang spiritual route can refine the Yuanyang essence within a virgin's body into magic power, greatly enhancing its effectiveness. Zhao Tianxing proudly said, especially our high school's Yuanyang spiritual route has been passed down for nearly 20 years. After being played with by generations of predecessors, it has been contaminated with the Yuanyang essence of thousands of students, giving it an even more profound mystery. Zhang Yu frowned as he listened, feeling that this Yuanyang spiritual route sounded very dirty, and also, aren't we all sterilized? Can we still use this virgin spiritual route? It's Yuanyang spiritual route, Zhao Tianxing explained. Sterilization surgery only temporarily removes some organs, but the Yuanyang essence in our body still gushes out from the kidneys. It just doesn't stimulate our emotions and spirit anymore. Otherwise, how could those who undergo repair surgery after growing up year after year regain their new roots? As Zhang Yu walked, he continued to ask, among the school's heavenly spiritual roots, are there any that greatly help with enhancing magic power? Upon hearing this, Zhao Tianxing's heart stirred. Recalling Zhang Yu's recent actions, he thought that the other party had been really concerned about enhancing his magic power lately. Could it be to participate in the magic competition? Zhao Tianxing thought for a while and said, there are many spiritual roots that can assist in enhancing magic power. The most effective one in our school should be the Qi Si spiritual root. It's just relatively expensive, but since you're getting it as a free reward this time, the price doesn't matter. The Qi Si spiritual root, nicknamed the wall-penetrating king, has the greatest advantage of extremely large coverage. It can also penetrate various walls, buildings, and even the earth's barriers, allowing for large-scale spirit energy collection, and improving the efficiency of magic power refinement. After listening to Zhao Tianxing's introduction, Zhang Yu had already decided to try this heavenly spiritual route. Arriving at the spiritual route rental office next to the quiet room, Zhang Yu didn't rush to state his goal. Instead, he picked up the introduction manual on the table and started reading. The administrator on the side was a female teacher with a baby face. Seeing Zhang Yu's actions, she seized the opportunity to ask, student, are you a member here? Are you familiar with any spiritual roots? Without even raising his head, Zhang Yu said, no, I'm not. The administrator quickly recommended, we currently have a promotion for new members, recharge 10,000 and get 1,000 free. Would you like to try it, student? Zhang Yu, I'm here for the heavenly spiritual route rental, as a reward for 0 spirit loss rate. I'm only taking the reward, I'm not interested in anything else. You don't need to try to sell me anything. Upon hearing this, the administrator smiled helplessly and retreated backward. Then, student, if you need anything, just let me know. Listening to his words, she had already silently labeled Zhang Yu as stingy, and lost interest in trying to sell him anything. Zhang Yu didn't care what she thought. He simply lowered his head and quickly scanned the manual, discovering that what was written on it was similar to what Zhao Tianxing had said. So he said to the administrator on the side, I want to rent the Qi Si spiritual route. The administrator said, scan your student card. Zhang Yu took out his student card and handed it to the administrator. This Songyang High School student card represented his identity as a high school student, and was an important credential that allowed him to legally cultivate immortality and enjoy various related services on his cultivation path. Soon, the administrator in the office brought a jade box to him. The Qi Si spiritual route is inside. Go to quiet room number 2 inside, open the jade box, and consume the spiritual root. Your rental time is 1 hour, and the time is counted from when you enter the quiet room. Overtime is calculated by the hour for every minute you exceed. Please keep track of the time yourself. After the administrator in charge of the rental business reiterated the relevant details, she let Zhang Yu go in quickly. Zhao Tianxing on the side said, "Then Zhang Yu, you go ahead and get busy. I should be leaving too." Zhang Yu nodded to him thanks. Watching Zhang Yu turn and leave, Zhao Tianxing kept replaying Zhang Yu's expression and tone in his mind, thinking our relationship should have gotten closer this time, right? Meanwhile, inside quiet room number 2. This was a room about 20 square meters in size. A futon was placed in the center of the room, and the surrounding walls were covered with a layer of soundproofing material, which was also covered with large and small twisted talismans. It was said that these talismans could accelerate the gathering of spirit energy, which had a certain effect on improving breathing efficiency. However, from the moment Zhang Yu stepped into the room, he only had 1 hour of breathing time. He didn't have time to care about the room's layout, so he sat directly on the futon and opened the jade box. Inside the palm-sized jade box, there was a delicate and translucent crystal that was shimmering with a faint green light. The crystal floated in the center of the jade box, surrounded by wisps of green smoke like light particles. This was the spiritual root he had rented this time, the heavenly spiritual root known as the Key C spiritual root. Zhang Yu carefully picked up the Key C spiritual root. Just as he put it to his mouth, he felt a coolness in his throat. The heavenly spiritual root burrowed into his body like a ball of ice, water, and sank into his lower abdomen in one breath, drilling into his lower dantian. As soon as the Key C spiritual root entered the dantian, it took root and sprouted, extending crystal-like roots that pierced into the surrounding magic power. Zhang Yu understood that, according to the user manual and the administrator's instructions, the heavenly spiritual root had been successfully planted in the dantian at this moment. Next, he only needed to breathe as usual, and the heavenly spiritual root would naturally take effect. Thinking of this, Zhang Yu took a deep breath and began to circulate the level 6 celestial key gathering method. Rumble. A loud noise seemed to erupt in his mind. Zhang Yu only felt the surrounding spirit energy swarming in and pouring into the heavenly spiritual root within his body. 2 times. 3 times. Too fast. It's still increasing. Feeling more and more spirit energy pouring into his body, Zhang Yu quickly calmed down and fully circulated the level 6 celestial key gathering method. As the circulation of his entire body's mana accelerated, wisps of spiritual energy were refined into mana. Originally, Zhang Yu felt his dantian, which had been somewhat swollen due to the influx of spiritual energy, return to normal. But as if sensing Zhang Yu's speed of refining mana, the Key C spiritual root in his dantian contracted and expanded, once again increasing the speed of absorbing spiritual energy. This time, not only did the spiritual energy around Zhang Yu swarm towards him, but even the spiritual energy outside the room was attracted. The corridor. Outside the window. The sky. Even underground. As Zhang Yu's efficiency in refining mana increased, the Key C spiritual root gradually expanded its range of absorbing spiritual energy, eventually stopping at a distance of 50 meters. Feeling the massive amount of spiritual energy pouring into his body like a great river, which was then guided into the mana circulation throughout his body, and finally refined into his own mana bit by bit. At this moment, Zhang Yu actually felt a sense of rapidly increasing mana. The newest novels are first published on 69shu.com. So this is the true efficiency of the level 6 heavenly cycle key gathering method. At this moment, Zhang Yu finally understood that his usual breathing exercises and refining of mana had not been able to unleash the true power of the level 6 heavenly cycle key gathering method. Now, with the help of the Key C spiritual root, he had truly maximized the efficiency of the heavenly cycle key gathering method in refining mana. Daring not to waste a single second, Zhang Yu wholeheartedly focused on breathing in spiritual energy and refining mana. Meanwhile, in the spiritual root rental office, the administrator who had just attended to Zhang Yu looked at the computer screen in front of her and said in surprise, "HMM. The spiritual energy concentration has decreased?" The quiet rooms rented by the school naturally had more than just a quiet effect. The spirit gathering talismans arranged within could control the concentration of spiritual energy in the room, enhancing the effect of breathing exercises. The administrator carefully observed the monitoring parameters and found that room 2 showed a clear phenomenon of spiritual energy gathering, attracting a large amount of surrounding spiritual energy, which led to a decrease in the spiritual energy concentration in the surrounding rooms. Room 2, if I remember correctly, that high school student was using it, right? Such a degree of spiritual energy gathering, a high schooler can actually do it? The administrator felt even more surprised. In her memory, at least a second-year high school student could achieve such an effect with the key C spiritual root. Xiong Yu. Recalling the name and class that the student had registered, the administrator silently noted it in her mind, further overturning the stingy label she had just placed on him. So powerful in the first year of high school, this student must have spent a lot of money on the path of immortality. The administrator activated more spirit-gathering talismans to adjust the spiritual energy concentration back, while silently thinking in her heart, I'll add his contact information later. If he can open a platinum membership with me, I won't have to worry about my performance for the next few months. She decided not to tell anyone, and focus on developing this potential customer herself. In the blink of an eye, an hour passed. Xiong Yu was immersed in the pleasure of the surging spiritual energy, and his mana had unknowingly increased from 9.4 to 9.5. Obviously, this hour was worth half a day of Xiong Yu's hard work. Just then, a female voice sounded from the intercom in the room. Student Xiong Yu, the hour is almost up. Would you like to extend the time? For some reason, Xiong Yu felt that the administrator's voice seemed much gentler. Feeling the satisfaction of the surging spiritual energy and the full power operation of the heavenly cycle key gathering method, Xiong Yu couldn't help but ask, how much does it cost to extend the time? The administrator quickly said, the rental price of the key C spiritual route is 5,000 yuan per hour, but we have a promotional event today. If new users recharge 100,000 yuan in one go, they will not only get 10,000 yuan as a gift, but also enjoy an 8.8% discount on the rental fee. Xiong Yu sighed helplessly in his heart, and slowly stopped breathing. When returning the spiritual route, Xiong Yu felt the administrator's politeness even more, and he also had some questions he wanted to ask. So Xiong Yu reluctantly glanced at the key C spiritual route being put back into the jade box and asked, how much would it cost to sell this spiritual route? The administrator's eyes flickered, and she smiled and said, the price of the key C spiritual route is 60 million. Xiong Yu gasped inwardly, but said with an unchanged expression, so expensive. The administrator said with a smile, yes, in fact, we don't recommend buying it too much. Renting is much more cost-effective than buying. After all, it's too extravagant to equip yourself with a heavenly spiritual route in the early stages of key refining. Generally, cultivators will only consider buying a spiritual route after entering university. Xiong Yu nodded slightly. He knew that the final hurdle for the key refining realm to break through to the foundation establishment realm was to plant a spiritual route that belonged to oneself. This was indeed something that university students needed to consider. However, whether to plant a heavenly spiritual route, an earthly spiritual route, or a human spiritual route, all depended on the cultivator's own financial resources. As for the higher level divine, spiritual route, an immortal spiritual route, they could only be transplanted after joining a special department or entering a major sect. A good heavenly spiritual route is really TMD expensive. Taking a deep look at the spiritual route being put away, Xiong Yu thought that one day he would buy a spiritual route that belonged to him. Before he left, the administrator took the initiative to add his contact information, and Xiong Yu learned that her name was Wei Xin. Wei Xin silently changed Xiong Yu's note to Xiong Yu. That's it for today's chapter. Don't forget to like and follow so you won't miss the next update. Thank you all for listening.